Hi there. So I really haven't made very many videos before for YouTube, but a number of the people that I'm connected to on YouTube that I watch their videos have said to me you should make your own. So I have made videos in the past of me playing guitar and stuff like that, and I made a lot of, when YouTube first came out, I made a lot of posts that were just me talking about stuff. I started when YouTube came out collecting YouTube channels, so I've got lots of different funny names and things like that. So I've got lots of channels but not much content. So I've always been waiting for other things to become my content. It's not going to get any quieter here, it's loud. And with the dogs fighting here too. But I figured, I was thinking of doing bushcraft type, outdoors, wild camping type stuff, because that's one of the things I do. I've done my music and I don't know, I'll do that as well at some point, but I thought what I'll start with is I'll just tell people who I am and what my life's about. So here's a little bit about me. I hope that doesn't annoy you or whatever. I hope it entertains you. I'm not saying this I'm not telling my story to get pity. I'm not telling my story to be in competition with anyone else's story. I'm sure other people got much more harrowing stories than me. But anyway, I was born in Glasgow. My mum was a kind of party girl, and she had wild, crazy parties when I was a little baby. And so I had a lot of strange upbringing for my first 5 years with my mum, and she was a cinema usherette in a big movie theatre in Glasgow called the Odeon, which had the largest cinema screen in the whole, widescreen in the whole of Europe at the time, and it had 5 different cinemas in one. So I used to go there as a 3-4-year-old, and my mum would just let me run around while she was doing what? Quiet, you two. Play quiet. And so I would run around the cinema and I would watch all the movies that I wasn't supposed to see when I was 3 or 4, like Easy Rider and Barbarella and these kind of things, which really affected me. I grew up in the movies. I've always loved movies, old movies, and so all my life I just wanted to live in Hollywood. I always wanted to go there. And then when I was in my 30s, I had a girlfriend over here, Susan, who was a great girl I knew. She was a psychotherapist from America, and she took me over to America to meet her dad. And her dad he was a retired US Army general. Everyone calls him the General. And he lives in Maine, and he's friends with a lot of influential people. He was at one point Surgeon General of Pennsylvania, which means he was the general practitioner to the presidents. He was friends with the Bushes, the Clintons, all these people knew all these kind of guys. His best friend was Colin Powell. Anyway, so me and the General got on like a house on fire. We both had a strong interest in American history, and particularly the Civil War. So we got on, looked great, and we had a great time. So while I was there, I told him how much I'd wanted to live in America, and he wrote me a letter. And I'd been trying to get a visa for years, and they would never let me in. And then he wrote me this letter that's basically just said, "Hey, I know Paul. This is me." And I don't want to say his name, but and he just gave me that letter, and I sent it in with my application, with an application for a 3-year visa, and they sent me back a 10-year one. So I got a 10-year visa because I knew the General. So on Christmas Day of 1999, I flew to America. I went from being broke here in Glasgow with I'd sold all my musical equipment and all the things that I collected. I've always been a big collector of antiques and things like that, and I sold all my collection and I got 10 grand in cash in dollars. So I went with my 10 grand in dollars to America. I went straight to California. I got off at LAX at 10:30 at night on Christmas Day in 1999, and I had so many things right from the start. I kind of knew what was going to happen in LA and how big a city it was, and a lot of kind of con artists and stuff. So as soon as I got there, I came out the airport and I look at this sign that says limousine hire, and I talked to the guy and said, "Yeah, I'd like to hire this limousine, take me to Venice Beach," because I had booked, Susan had booked me a night in a hotel down in Venice Beach to get me started. And I love Cadillacs, and it was the Cadillac Hotel, which was I love Art Deco as well, and it's an Art Deco hotel down in Venice Beach. So I stayed there for the first few weeks that I lived in America. But anyway, I got out to this guy who was a limousine driver, and it turns out to be a minicab kind of thing, little van thing. So immediately we leave LAX, and he heads for El Segundo, which is kind of southeast. And I'm like, "Hey man, I'm going to Venice Beach, that's the other way. I'd like it if you took Lincoln to Speedway," because I'd already looked at a map and I knew all the streets. And he was, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were a tourist." and he was quiet for a little while, and he was actually quiet for a little while without, he just said, "Oh, sorry," and we drove for a while, and then he just looked at me through the mirror and said, "So, I thought you were a tourist," and he was like apologising. So anyway, I got there and I put my bags in the hotel. It was 10:30, it was about 11 o'clock at night by that point, in Venice Beach, California, where it's so much history, because I was a skateboarder and that all came from that area, and I was a musician, I loved Harley Davidsons, all these different things that were all in that area, the Hollywood history. So the first thing I did that night was I went down to the beach. It was at the beach, so I just went across the road to the beach, or across the, not even the road, the Venice boardwalk to the beach, and you could see the ocean from my window, and it was fantastic, and it was pitch black on the beach at night, and I was walking along there on my own, and I was thinking to myself, this is literally the largest thing, one thing you can say, this is a unit, the one thing on in the whole of the planet, the Pacific Ocean. And I'd never ever touched it before, or seen it, or had anything to do with it. So I put my hands in the water, and for the first time ever, I felt the biggest thing on the planet. And I really, from the first moment I stepped off the plane in LA, I felt like it was where I'd always belonged. And I knew the place really well. It was really interesting. Over the 10 years that I spent there, a lot of locals would get me to show them places or take them places that they didn't know, because I for some reason, I just kind of knew Hollywood anyway. I don't know why I knew it, but I knew it. And so I spent 10 years in Hollywood and had a lot of adventures there, and done a lot of things, a lot of famous people, lots of interesting adventures, riding my Harley Davidson through the desert at night, and I had an 8.2 litre Cadillac convertible, the Eldorado, which I drove for years and years and years. It was great, and it was amazing. And this is my point that I want to get across to people, particularly one of the guys that has suggested to me that I should make my own videos. This guy, I really much enjoy his interview on Sean Atwood's blog. A guy called Sean Freeston, and Sean Freeston, he's had a hard time himself. He's had a lot of struggles, and he's overcome them, and he's a really, really nice guy, and he was saying to me that I really need to put some videos up, so it got me a bit guilty, so here I am, Sean. Thank you, mate. Well, anyway, that's a couple of my stories from LA, and I'm going to be posting some more stories from Hollywood and all my adventures. I had lots of fun there, new stars, Stephen Baldwin, and all sorts of people, you know. Hey, darling. And I had a good time, so that's my first installment of Paul in Hollywood. Yes, darling.